the freedom to draw unsolved mysteries. In today's episode, haven't been here in a while, we got a pretty notorious case. It's that one of Mark Himebaugh. This was out of Delhaven, New Jersey. We got a little Faith No More in the background. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they're the ones that sing the song Epic. You want it all, but you can't have. Yeah, that one. So we're going to start off by drawing Mark Himebaugh. This is a missing persons case out of Delhaven, New Jersey. This little kid went missing and has never been seen again from back in the 90s. I haven't done this in a while. I'm a little rusty, guys. This is a missing persons case. And if you have any information on Mark Himebaugh, anything, whether it be a crazy story that involves him, you never know. It might help authorities. You have to seek authorities and tell them your story. Don't be afraid, guys. That little story could help this little kid's mom. He has a mom that's still alive, trying to find him. I haven't been live in a long time, guys. So Mark Himebaugh, on November 25th, 1991 in Delhaven, New Jersey, near Cape May. He left his home to watch a brush fire, and traffic was rerouted through Himebaugh's neighborhood. He was never seen again. There was a sneaker left by the beach. That was the only evidence left. Himebaugh's mother said that shoe was placed there. Tommy Buckavage was a suspect. In the Himebaugh case, because he was a known sex offender, and Buckavage looked a lot like the sketch that witnesses described for police sketch artists. Let's see if I can find that. Okay, so here's the sketch they're talking about. That's one of the reporters that was back on the original airing of this case. They said this guy was last seen with him, but they also said there was another guy, and they also said there was this girl. And this guy looks like the Buckavage guy, and this girl was never identified. And then there was another guy with a ponytail. I'm not seeing him on here, but he was one of the people too that here he is. he is never talked about in this case. I feel like I know a lot about this case because I've been researching it a lot through the month of September. Basically, that whole month I've been just listening. There's so many angles to this case. It's unbelievable. But so that first guy with the long hair, he was the main suspect. Years later, a male prostitute sex worker came out of the blue and told a tale about how he was hanging around Buck Cabbage, and Buck Cabbage said he went into a room where there was a videotape playing. Buck Cabbage told the male prostitute that that was Mark Himebaugh. This guy reiterated this to the police. He commented to Buck Cabbage, "That looks like Mark Himebaugh," and Buck Cabbage replied, "That's because it is him." And I mean, I heard this guy through my research. The male prostitute guy, he was on his deathbed, so, and he told people that he had to get it off his chest. I don't think he was making it up. But there is no physical evidence to convict Buck Cabbage. But guess what? He is incarcerated at this moment, at this very minute. He's incarcerated in jail for, you guessed it, child molestation charges. This video that he said was Mark Himebaugh in the video depicted a young boy tied up and gagged, engaging in sex acts, but with Mr. Butt Cabbage. A lot of cases like this one are in the United States of America. Mark was only 11 years old, living in a household where the mother and father were estranged. Mark had behavioral problems. He was taking the drug called Prozac. And that's true. That was documented in this case. He was taking Prozac. I myself took Prozac and it didn't do anything. Did nothing for me. Mark disappeared from a beachfront community. The brush fire started and Mark was able to see it from his house, but Mark wanted a better view. So he asked his mom, "Hey, can I go get a little closer? Can I get a little closer of a look?" His mom said, "Okay." And right after that, the neighbor came over and asked Mark's mother if she could help her with an issue that she had. She needed a ride to do an errand, a short errand. So, but this short errand ended up taking like 45 minutes to an hour because of the traffic being rerouted in Mark's neighborhood. So they didn't anticipate that. And, people could say that she was being a bad mom, but this was a good neighborhood. There was no worry. There was never any incidences of any crime in this area. Like I said, it was a good good neighborhood, a small little community. Later, Mark is seen talking to a couple of guys, where I showed you earlier, hanging around their car. Later, he is seen walking and playing with a young blonde-headed girl, and I showed you her picture too. Hours later, Mark has not come home, and his mom is back from that errand, and mom says she had enough of this stuff. She's like, well, I'm calling the cops. By nightfall, the searchers, they find nothing but a shoe. It is a distinct shoe. Mom immediately IDs it of being Mark's shoe, but it's actually Mark's older brother's shoe, because Mark was having issues with his foot. He had a cast on it. I think he broke his foot or something, or tore something in his foot, and he had to have an air cast on, and that shoe was more comfortable. He could fit that over the cast, and so that was Mark's brother identified that shoe as being his, and he lent it to his younger brother Mark. And that's a distinct shoe too. I don't know if I can find that. Here it is. Here's the shoe. There, that's the shoe. And that, that's not an average shoe. That's a pretty intricate shoe there, It's not your average shoe. But it is, you have to remember this was in 1991. So I guess it was kind of average for 1991 time period. Yeah, remember this happened in 1991. He had a lot of freckles too. That's another thing that was very distinct about Mark. He had tons of freckles. The shoe print evidence told a story of Mark running and falling out of his shoes, but this is confusing because there was no other foot tracks. Mark was recovering from a fractured foot. Yeah, a fractured foot. Perhaps he took his shoe off because it was bothering him, or maybe he was so scared that he literally ran out of his shoes. We don't know. A couple on the beach said later that they positively saw that shoe in the daytime, the day Mark went missing. They found that shoe for the first time that night. So that doesn't make any sense. If you think about that, does that make any sense to you? There's a couple saying that they saw that shoe in the daytime, but they found that shoe at night. It's on the police reports. They found it at night, so makes sense of that. The sketch of the little girl Mark was seen with was never identified, and this town was very small. and everybody knew everybody. Could this have been an accomplice? Could this have been a girl that was working with the abductors? We really don't know. The girl may have been working with these dick cheeses. Remember the sex video? There was more than one person involved with this sex video because someone was operating the camera. So there was a third person. There was the victim, the perpetrator, and the guy filming it all. A lot of people don't think about that. Mark was abducted. The planting of the shoe does not make sense. In hopes of finding Mark, they created a Mark Himebaugh task force. The task force somehow got a warrant to search Tommy Butkavich's apartment. There was no sex tapes found there or other tapes. Where could this male sex worker have where could he make this story up about the sex tapes? We don't know. There is no direct evidence that convicts Tommy Butcavich. There's no direct evidence that Mark's father or Tommy Butcavich were involved in Mark's disappearance. Even though these two were not the greatest of people. So there's a lot of mystery in this. Was there a car following Mark? Was he scared enough where he started walking fast and literally jumped out of his shoe because he was so scared? Until there was no more beach and the beach met the road and he was thrown into the car that was following him. Could this have happened? Could he have figured out what was going on with the guys following him in the van or whatever vehicle it was, and he just said to himself, I'm going to go on the beach, I'm going to try to lose these losers, and they just outran him with the car and they cornered him. Now that could have happened. They just cornered him and threw him in the van or whatever escape vehicle they used. Gotta get all these freckles. Dude had a lot of freckles. Even the famous boxer Riddick Bowe wore Help Find Mark on his trunks in a highly publicized match that he had on national TV. That's how much publicity this case got in the 90s. The book Where is Mark? I heard that doesn't really. This focuses on the sex trafficking ring more than anything else. I don't necessarily buy that. I think Mark was abducted just by somebody that liked boys. That was like a pedophile. I don't think he was put into a child sex trafficking ring. But if you like that angle, I would recommend buying and reading the book Where is Mark? In the book, it tries to shift the blame onto Mark's father, Jody. I'm not necessarily a fan of that either. I think the guy was a deadbeat dad, but like, a deadbeat dad's not gonna abduct his child. Like, I mean, he could, but anything's possible. But I don't know. I don't buy that.
Who's ready for a deal? Now you can order.
The book spends a lot of time trying to infer that Jody, which was Mark's father, was molesting him. It said it molested him and his girlfriend in the past, and it tries to infer that he planned and coordinated this with Tommy Buckavage to abduct Mark, because the book claims that Mark was going to go to the cops about all this funny business going on with him and his dad, and Jody wanted to silence him. I mean, that's going through a lot of trouble, especially to do to your own son. I don't really buy that. I know the guy needs to sell his book, so it's going to sensationalize things a little bit. Well, at least you said it right. It looks like Frankenstein's monster. Everybody says it looks like Frankenstein. It's actually Frankenstein's monster. You got it correct, man. But that's not who I'm drawing. I am drawing Mark Himebaugh. Again, I urge anybody that has any information about this young man, whether it be a insignificant thing or not, tell somebody, tell the authorities. You know, you may help solve a mystery. And that's what this show's all about. We bring these cases back into the forefront. I think, in my opinion, the molestation stuff is stuff made up to sell a book. In my opinion, someone similar or exactly like Tommy Buckavage took the opportunity to abduct Mark because he liked little boys. It's that simple. They tried to lure him with the girl, and that didn't work. So they said we're gonna increase our efforts. We're gonna increase our efforts to try to get this little guy. And he kind of was, I think he was on to them a little bit. That's why he ducked into the beach. This kid knew his surroundings. Wasn't his first rodeo. So they tried to lure him with the girl, and that didn't work. So they just followed him in their car, whether it be a car or a van, we do not know. And they scared Mark so much that he went to the beach and started to try to duck these guys as he was walking east. So he was walking fast, I should say, not east. He was walking really fast, and he literally walked out of his shoes. He walked out of his shoes because he was so scared. He walked off the beach and thought he was in the clear, and that's when the abductors just came on him. And now there's another thing that was interesting. When authorities did ask Thomas Buckcavage while he's in jail on child molestation charges, do you know anything about Mark Himebaugh or the case? Buckcavage is quoted on just saying one phrase: "You'll never find him." That's all he said. That's a strange thing to say if you're an innocent man. And there's people that say that this Buckcavage guy is innocent, and they'll shout it up the rooftops. My opinion is that Buckcavage knows something. We are not drawing Frankenstein's monster, but if it was, we'd have to put the bolts in. We are drawing Mark Himebaugh. This little redhead guy is probably 40 something now, if he's still alive. There's a lot of mystery in this case, and I just touched on the surface of it. If you guys want to do more research on this case, I implore you to, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. So that's our missing person right there. That's Mark Himebaugh. This is what he really looks like. Does kind of look like Frankenstein, doesn't he? Young Frankenstein. But it's not. It's his mother is probably still hoping that he gets found, or something gets some kind of light gets shed on this case. All right, guys, that's it. I'm gonna jet. Thank you for watching, and share this, please. We want you to share this. I don't care if you subscribe. If you share it, that'd be the best thing to do. All right? Peace out, true believers.